But
And yeah, hey, listen, sometimes we just got to run through this stuff. Now, here's the thing. Today's a little different.
yeah,
Because I was actually on time today and you were late. And that never happens. I will tell everybody this, and anybody who's ever watched the live streams, whenever I'm on a live stream, I'm usually starting it after the kickoff starts because I'm always fucking late for everything that I do. Today, I was sitting there like, all right, I got my coffee. I already took my coffee. By the way, take it. The worst time for the coffee dump to happen, man, is literally like 7 minutes before I'm ready to go on the air. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to be late again because I got to take a coffee dump. And now it's like, oh my God, no, it was it's been that. Then I come on here and then you're like, oh, I'm not there yet. And then you finally come on. I try to do the sound check. You run off the side because you got to go get your dog. And I'm like, what's going on? We're never going to get on air. Oh no, but we're here. And we're going to tell you the forecast right now. And welcome to the Friday forecast right here on Stay Tuned Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is King. That is your good friend Jimbo right over there. Coming into you here in the morning. And that's why I think we're so chipper. You know, I haven't hit the booze yet. I got my coffee, so I'm still with it. I'm still here. How we doing, Jimbo?
trying to catch my breath. A lot of running around. Trying to run 15 minutes of stuff into 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, that's terrible. That's
Basically, Dan Campbell on fourth down there.
By the way, what is the thin line between ballsy and fucking stupid? Apparently, it's Dan Campbell's dick because that's the line that it is. Because man, I'll tell you what, I think I could try to understand some of the reasonings. Like I said, I think where Brian Branch was injured and he was off the field, I think at that point. And you know, if you kick the field goal and then you kick it off, and you have the Packers have it there, and they can go down the field and maybe get a field goal to tie the game and bring it in overtime, whatever. Like I understand the theory of, you know, and especially Dan Campbell's theory of just let's just end the fucking game here. You know, all right, fine, I get that. That's Dan Campbell. But now, granted, Green Bay didn't have any timeouts at this point. But if you don't make that, then you're giving the Packers a chance, slight chance, slim chance, but a chance to get down the field and to at least attempt or to try a game-winning field goal then of their own at the end of the game if you don't make that. So, like, when you look at risk-reward, kind of like his decision earlier on the fourth down that he did from his own 31-yard line. And, boy, that didn't work out great. What's the reward for that versus the risk? The reward is, yes, you get to milk the clock all the way down, kick it with no time left, you win the game. Great reward. Get it. But if you don't make it, then you give them a chance to go down the field with a quick one or two plays, which we saw they were able to do with the connections going on with Love and Christian Watson, that they're then able to go and get within very long but makeable field goal range, especially for McManus, who is he's just kind of getting back into his rhythm now, getting back in the league. I don't know. Now, granted, it all worked out in the end. So when things work, everybody's like, look at that. How genius. Oh, what big balls. He's got balls the size of Detroit. Look at this guy. And I get it. But as I saw, a Twitter commenter said, I wish I knew the handle right now. I don't have it right now. So I don't know. If you made this comment, congratulations. All credit to you. And you can come into the comments or to the chat and let us know. They said, Dan Campbell plays like he's a 10-year-old on Madden.
Yeah.
He plays he coaches the game and calls plays like he's a 10-year-old on fucking Madden. And we saw another coach do that in Braden Staley and didn't quite work out for him. Now, Dan Campbell's been able to be on the right side of these more often than not. But again, I go back to the Cowboys and Lions game last year where, yes, that was a great 2-point conversion play. Yes, it was a fuck up from the officials that completely fucked up that play and made it not work. And I get all that. But then at that point, you have to make the smart decision and just take the extra point. But, he gets how he is. I think and I thought this year he was doing a lot better. And this game, there were a couple spots where I was like, it seems like a little bit of that old Dan Campbell is coming out.
Yeah, definitely.
But if we take a look, let's just jump over to the screen right now. We'll start making our picks and predictions, but we'll see over here where King. What was that?
That was me.
Why are you in Discord? Get out of Discord. You don't need to be in Discord. You already know what your picks are. Although there was the one time I think I stayed in there. I kept on broadcasting in there for like a day after we had done a live stream. I was like, oh shit, I should probably turn that off. As you see, me, smart guy, right here, picked the lines. You picked the Packers, and you actually bet on the Packers with your parlay. Did not quite work out. ELS in the chat. Good morning and good morning to you. See, MOURING, because you're mourning. You're sad that the Packers lost. Oh, you're mourning too because you lost money. So, granted, it was like $1, but still. So we're already starting off. I'm 1-0. You're 0-1. Maybe this is the week that I get to go undefeated, just like my mom and pops did last week. Although this one will be not quite as impressive because, last week was a full slate. This one we still have some buys. So we have that already started off there with Thursday. I had the Lions. You had the Packers. What do we got next? Next game we got... Oh, fuck. Jesus Christ. This is how we're going to fucking start this off? The first 3 games that are listed after the Thursday night game are just, like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, come on. Jets and Dolphins. Me and you both have the Dolphins. No, does it fucking matter? Does it really matter? At this point, do these games fucking matter?
I'll laugh if the Jets win, though.
I don't care. Like, if the Jets win, who gives a shit? They both suck. They're both fucking terrible.
I don't know if you would say Miami sucks. They're slightly below average.
With Tua, they're better. They are better with Tua in there, but they still got their fucking asses handed to them in Green Bay on Thanksgiving. And now you have a team that again is they're gonna miss the playoffs. They're out of the playoff hunt. The Jets have been out for quite a while. They're just a sea of fucking drama there, as it seems to be wherever Aaron Rodgers go. And listen, I love Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback. I think he is one of the best and better quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. 1,000%, I believe that. 1,000%, I will stick by that. That being said, it seems like fucking drama follows him around. So, you do have to kind of take that. You take the good with the bad. You take the bad with the good, I suppose. But we both have the Dolphins on this one. The Dolphins should win this one. They're at home. They're not in any kind of cold weather. They're a nice, toasty, beautiful Miami Gardens, Florida, to go ahead and play the Jets. And the Jets, again, they kind of remind me a little bit of just they're a team that finds a way to lose instead of finding ways to win. Again, they played, I think, a very good game against Seattle, but made a couple plays here or there that ended up costing them the fucking game. And at the end of the day, I'm fucking tired of my beard trying to go the other way on my face. It looks so fucking weird. What is wrong with this thing? I'm cutting it off.
I may buy you the beard trimmer.
I have the beard trimmer, but that's what I mean. Like, I do this thing, I do it straight down off my mustache, and I get everything nice in there, and it still just wants to go like, wee! Like, fuck that, man. I'm just cutting it. I'm just going to go like a straight beard. I'm not doing my little thing there. Oh, there we go. He doesn't like the beard either. He's trying to understand. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it.
Lay down.
Who is that? Is that Lennon or Ringo?
Yeah, it's Lennon.
Good old Lennon.
Train how to be.
They still have to. They're still not allowed to be like kind of hanging out together and stuff.
Ringo likes to. He's still puppy stuff.
Well, yeah.
Lennon here. He listens. I tell him lay down. He listens. Granted, you guys hear him snore, but.
Oh yeah. Well, that was really only the one time. And it was fucking wow. Though my boy could fucking rip it. Next game. we have is Hamsters Atlanta Falcons versus the Minnesota Vikings. Both of these teams are just the epitome of inconsistent play, except one always bites them in the ass, and the other one seems to be fucking divined by fate to still end up getting wins even when they look like absolute ass. Now you have the Falcons going to Minnesota, Kirk Cousins going back to his old stomping grounds there at US Bank Stadium. I have decided to pick the Vikings just because, again, neither of these teams are very good. Neither of these teams, I think, are very consistent, even though the Vikings do have that 10-2 record. But because of that kind of divine fate coming down on the Vikings and making sure that they will get a win no matter what, and because Kirk Cousins seems to just, recently anyway, loves throwing that ball to the other team, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pick the Vikings here at home, which that's going to open a door. By the end of this week, depending on how all these games shake out, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could be leading the South, which is fucking wild to think about. Like 5 weeks ago, that was insane to think about. But here we are. I have the Vikings. Jimbo, I see you have a different opinion on this.
I for a few weeks now, I said I've been off the Vikings bandwagon. They're not as good as the record shows. You got Kirk Cousins going back to Minnesota for a revenge game.
There's no argument about that. That the Vikings are not a 10-2 team.
Yeah, it's a 1 p.m. game, so that goes in Kirk Cousins' favor. With that all being said, Kirk Cousins doesn't win this game. They're gonna be losing. Penix is gonna come in and he's gonna.
Oh, so you're dependent. You're banking on a big Penix hero here. You're thinking that the Falcons are going to be rejuvenated by a big Penix that's just going to come in just all throbbing, ready to go, and ends up thrusting them to victory.
I see we carried over from last night.
Oh yeah, no, that's never. Listen, I say that shit sober. Like none of that's different.
In all seriousness, I just think it's one of those. Which is the better of the worst teams? And I think the Falcons are slightly better than the Vikings when it comes to inconsistency.
No, I again, at the end of the day, the Falcons are inconsistent and find ways to lose. The Vikings are inconsistent but find ways to win, and I think that's a difference. And it does mean something. Again, in the NFL, it's hard to win games. So winning 10 games, being 10-2, even when for about 6 of those games you haven't looked great, to me, that still counts for something. That's why I still have them in my power rankings. You don't, which I think is fucking crazy that you don't have a 10-2 team, at least in your top 12. I understand not having them high. I only have them, I believe, at 10th. So, like, again, I don't have them super high, but I still have them in there because that does mean something. Even if they're not playing like a 10-2 team, they're still, even if not 10-2, they're still an above 500 team, which right now in the NFL puts you in the top half of the fucking league. You know what I mean? So, this is different. ELS in the chat says he thinks Kirk Cousins is going to make sure that the Falcons dominate against the Vikings, wanting to get a little bit of that revenge game. But what revenge? Like, everybody calls about revenge game. He got so much money from Minnesota. So much money from Minnesota. And he got so much money from Atlanta. Like, Kirk Cousins has nothing to revenge about. He's got, except, I don't know, do they have Kohl's in Georgia? I'm sure they do, right? So I'm sure he's still got his Kohl bucks. I'm sure he's able to still go shopping there. But there we go. Yes, I have the Vikings. Jimbo has the Falcons. The next game is one where we agree on as well because fucking Christ. The New Orleans Saints.
This close picking the Giants.
No, there's no way you cannot pick the Giants.
It was 1% of me. Maybe this is one of those games they just get lucky with.
No.
Then I looked at the logo and I'm like, no, sure.
You can't pick the Giants. I mean, just no. Drew Lock. Yeah, he's doing so much. Yeah, well, what a guy. He's got because the problem was always Daniel Jones. It was always Daniel Jones is the problem. Daniel Jones is the problem. Once we get rid of Daniel Jones, any quarterback will be it will be better than Daniel Jones. That's an upsell, baby. That's a real. We've really gone above and beyond now that we don't have Daniel Jones. How the fuck has that worked out, huh? Oh, Drew Lock. We knew Drew. There were people on Twitter, and I got into not so much a fight, but just kind of like a snarky little thing where people were like, after Drew Lock tried to almost ran in for the touchdown on a first Giants drive, and they're like, "Oh, we all knew that Drew Lock was a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, right?" And I was like, "No Giants fan thought that," and they said all the smart ones do. And then you had the pick six and the constant failings and 3-and-out drives and turnovers and everything. I was like, boy, that looked really good. What a great drive there by Drew Lock. No, Daniel Jones couldn't do anything like that for sure. But yeah, the Saints, they're 2-1 under their interim head coach. They got energy. They have life. Are they going to make the playoffs? No, but they look like they're fun. They're having fun, and they're ready to play games. The Giants are a team across the board that have given up. Every player in every position does not want to be there. You can see it in how they play. They can say shit. They can say different things, but the locker room is gone. Nobody wants to listen to Brian Daboll. Nobody wants to be there. Everybody's just like, it's basically a fucking Marshawn Lynch fucking press conference. They're just there so they don't get fined. Like Deontay Johnson. We're here, we'll play, we'll go through the motions, but we're not fucking doing anything. Because, and then you saw it, the Giants don't have Dexter Lawrence. He's out for the year with the dislocated elbow. If you look at anybody else, if you're on that defense, you're like, why am I gonna go 110% for this? Like, I'm gonna go and try and look good on film. And that's for the people who are maybe have a contract coming up or something like that. But if you're set, if you've got a multiple year contract still, if you're signed there, you're with the Giants, you're like, I'm not risking further injury or being out for next year or doing anything like that. Going 110% for a team that doesn't give a shit, for a coach that hopefully he's not going to be here. And even if he's not, I don't like him. I don't want to fucking listen to this fat fucking Ozempic sucking fuck. I don't want to be here. Nobody wants to be with the Giants. So, yeah, I mean, this one is, I think, as easy as it is. Saints go ahead. They're going to go ahead and demolish the New York Giants at MetLife Stadium, as I think the Giants are going to end up winless at MetLife this year. It just feels like it. And it fits, because that place is a fucking mausoleum. As Jimbo, who's been there now, knows. It's just a giant ashtray HVAC unit of shit. ELS in the chat, just what I thought here on the Giants, says that the Giants are going to win. The Saints need to die and sleep during the game. They have to die and then sleep. That's what I mean. They can't just be asleep and they can't just die. They have to be dead, and then their ghosts have to sleep in order for the Giants to go ahead and win, according to ELS. And ELS, I'm here to tell you, you're not fucking wrong. That is not an out-of-pocket estimation about what would need to happen in order for the Giants to win this fucking game. The next game is, of course, the hated Philadelphia Eagles, who suck ass, and I hate them, I fucking hate them. Anyway, the Eagles, a 10-2 again, they're not really a 10-2 team. Can we be honest? They're not really 10.
Keep saying that, and Saquon will score 2 or 3 more extra touchdowns.
Listen, the Saints should have beat you back in, what was that, week 3? The Saints should have beat your ass.
That's before we had Balderini.
Now I know what you're talking about, but again, if I wouldn't, like, you're the way you pronounce things and say things just make things so fucking confusing sometimes. They're playing the Panthers, who, to be fair, they are playing a lot better. Bryce Young looks like the quarterback that they had always hoped for, and a quarterback that you can build a future around there in Carolina. So I'm very happy to see that for him. I'm happy to see that for the Carolina fans, at least having something there. Even if you're still losing games, even if you're not making the playoffs this year, clearly, you can look at that and be like, boy, this is not hopeless. This is like it was, like, if you're looking early on in the season with Carolina, you're like, our owner sucks. There's no hope. We look terrible. Bryce Young looks terrible. Everything is just done and over. Oh, everybody's like, oh, I feel so bad for Panthers fans. I feel so sorry. Oh my God. Now, if you're a Panthers fan, you're like, there's a gleam. There's that little gleam of hope. So I'll give the Panthers that. And I think they're going to be competitive in this game. I don't think it's going to be just a straight wash. That being said, I do think the Eagles are going to win probably by 10 points or more, which I guess you can consider a blowout. But if the Eagles win by 10, that's a touchdown and a field goal. I think that's something like that. And again, the Panthers have pulled up with some of these teams. It took the Chiefs a last-second field goal to beat them. It took they've taken some teams to the limit and they've won some good games. So I think the Panthers definitely will be competitive in this game, but the Eagles' defense is playing a lot better. You got the exciting whites there in the defensive backfield, doing stuff there for the Eagles. And then honestly, the biggest piece probably, and I still believe this right now, the MVP of the league, Saquon Barkley, your cheat code there. Yeah, I mean the Eagles are winning this game.
Yeah. Saquon only needs to average 120-ish total yards, I believe it is, these next 5 games to break Eric Dickerson's scrimmage record. All-time scrimmage record, which...
I mean, he can get that. He can get to over 2,000 yards rushing. Like, he can start putting up some fucking numbers. And... Again, he could get that, but here's the thing, and this is the scary thing, as we saw at the Rams game, he can get that in 2 runs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just the thing. You never know when it's going to break for him. And even then, on his smaller runs, he's still getting 5 yards, 6 yards, 8 yards a carry. It's like, it's just, listen, I am glad to see him doing well. I am glad to see him not injured and healthy, for the season. And it just, it's a little bit depressing, but I also know that he wouldn't be doing this with the Giants. He had 6 years to do this with the Giants and couldn't do it because the Giants are the fucking Giants, and we're just a terrible organization. Meanwhile, 1 year in Philadelphia, and he's outperforming anything he's ever done while he was with the Giants. That just shows you a lot right there, and why the Giants are where they are, why that King James belt has almost perennially fucking sitting with you instead of me, is that the Giants organization for the last almost, this is going to be 14 years now, just cannot compete and cannot play against the Philadelphia Eagles or really any team worth of note. Like the Giants are just top to bottom a bad organization, and they need to be a full clean out, but Mara won't do that. So that's why it's good to see Saquon doing what he's doing. It's good to see Xavier, what he's doing there in Green Bay. It's good to see what's his face? I keep on saying what's his face. Up in Seattle. He got a record for being the fastest and longest interception return. Leonard Williams, there we go. For having the longest fat man touchdown in NFL history, longest fat man pick six. So it's good to see. So fuck the Giants, but the Eagles are going to win this game against the Panthers. We both think. Then we have the Browns and the Steelers. Man, I was this close because again, the Browns already beat the Steelers in Cleveland on that Thursday night game a couple weeks ago. Again, the Browns and Winston look good against the Broncos. Just a couple of mistakes there from Winston, but again, Winston had almost 500 yards passing and 3-4 touchdowns, but the pick six is hurt. But again, you have that kind of dichotomy there. I was very close to picking the Browns because this is a game that the Browns end up fucking winning. They do it all the time in the division. They just fuck people's shit up. It's just what they love to do. Whether it's the Ravens, whether it's the Steelers, no matter what, the Browns are just going to say, we're going to come in and fuck up your day. But the Steelers are at home. Again, Russ's looks like whatever hiccup he had a couple weeks ago, just where he wasn't playing well. He played well last week, really well last week. And again, you pair that, if he plays super well like that, and that defense is still the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, it's close for me, but I went with the Steelers.
I was the same way. I was going to pick the Browns, but then I remembered that the Browns won against the Steelers, like you said, a couple weeks ago. I think that game kind of remotivated the Steelers a little bit. Woke up we can't play down to teams. We got to play every team equally. And I think that's what's going to happen in this game. I think the Steelers you're going to see a better Steelers team this time around compared to a couple weeks ago.
You'd hope so, and especially offensively. And again, the Browns' defense is no slouch. And again, if Jameis Winston can play, like I said, I think this game's going to be close. I do. I don't think this is a blowout by any means. I don't think the Steelers run away with this, like some people are saying. Again, I think on the pick chart you see it's 96% of the public is picking the Steelers, only 4% the Browns. I think that's woefully out of balance because I really do think the Browns have an absolute shot in this game. If you've watched the Browns the last couple of weeks and don't think they have a shot to beat the Steelers, you haven't been watching these games. The Browns and Jameis Winston 1,000% have a chance to beat the Steelers, especially if Winston does, plays a mistake-free game. I'm almost trying to talk myself into picking the Browns again. I'm not going to, but it's almost like that. But the Browns can, I think, absolutely win this game. I guess we'll see. But again, we both have the Steelers. And another game where we match up well. We got a couple of matchup games here. Now we both have the Buccaneers over the Raiders. Again, the Buccaneers, depending on what happens in that game in Minnesota versus the Falcons, the Buccaneers have a chance to take the lead in the NFC South. And let's just face facts, the Raiders are bad. And now, again, they almost beat the Chiefs. But as we've talked about before, the Chiefs are very... Yeah. And even so, you wouldn't think that the Raiders would have a chance to do that. So are they playing better? Is Aiden O'Connell better? Are they going to put something together here? Maybe, possibly. I don't know. But they got to travel all the way to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay seems to be feeling it. They got Mike Evans back clearly for the last couple of weeks here. He seems to be getting back into it. They have that giant fucking cock knocking out there at tight end. Love that guy. And, of course, Baker, which is just seeming to will this team back into the playoff race, back into the division race. After it seemed like all hope was lost in that Chiefs game where, you got Mike Evans out with the hamstring, and then you got Chris Godwin gone for the year with the dislocated ankle. And it's like, even then they still almost, they got it to overtime and then lost it on a coin toss, really. This is a team that seems to be tough. They seem to be gritty. They seem to be all those things that you talk about, like with Dan Campbell and stuff like that. Could you imagine Dan Campbell having Baker Mayfield as his quarterback? Like, what you want to talk about just two meatheads fucking just going at it there. Like that would be a hell of a fusion.
HBO would have to do a separate Hard Knocks show.
Hard Knocks, Dan Campbell and Baker Mayfield. That's it. We just follow those two motherfuckers.
Baker showing up to Dan Campbell's door with coffee or the espressos.
ELS in the chat says that I smell that the Raiders will be looking for a new quarterback in the draft. You fucking think?
Yeah.
You fucking think? And again, the Raiders are going to be pretty high in the draft anyway. I believe right now the Jaguars, with all the tiebreakers and everything, have the number one pick. So I don't know. And I don't think the Jaguars are going to be looking for a quarterback. They just signed Trevor to that giant fucking deal. So they're not going to be going for a Shedeur Sanders. We know that the Raiders are one of the teams that have been targeted by Shedeur and Dion for him to go to. So that could be something to look out for. And maybe the Raiders and maybe Antonio why am I blanking on his name?
Antonio Pierce.
There we go. Oh, God, he's a New York Giant legend, and I fucking forgot his name.
Giant.
It's early. It's early, man. It's early. Maybe, he's going to be like, well, let's try, but let's not really try. Maybe like that and see if, you can pull something like that. Maybe that's something he's talked to Mark Davis about and be like, we'll go out there, we'll play, we'll look good, but we'll make sure that we're still in the Shedeur sweepstakes there. So, yeah. But I think I think we both think that that the Buccaneers are going to go ahead and win that game. Next up, we both have the Titans over the Jaguars. After the criminal assault from Al Shair. What? That's a clean tackle. What? Aren't you always taught to lead with your forearm when you tackle somebody? Yeah.
Just doing a Macho Man, Randy Savage elbow, flying.
Oh yeah.
Up into this.
So now Trevor Lawrence, pretty much done for the year. They have him on the IR, which means he's going to be out 4 weeks. There's only 5 weeks left. There's only 5 games left. So he's pretty much done for the year now. You got Mac Jones there. Mac Jones can, try to do something here. Maybe he tries to, put a resume together for next year to see if somebody needs another quarterback or a backup quarterback or whatever the case is. So an opportunity for Mac Jones. But again, I think the Titans have been playing better. Will Levis has not been making Levisian type of plays over the last couple of weeks. They're at home. This is a bad team versus a bad team, but I think right now, looking at it, I think the Titans are the less bad team. So I'll go with the Titans.
Just to kind of touch on Trevor Lawrence going to IR, I think this stat was more of a, like you said, Mac Jones putting a resume together. I think this is more of a Jaguars seeing if Mac Jones could possibly be the future backup.
Who we got? Right. This is audition time now for people on the Jaguars. If you don't have a long-term contract with them, hey, this is a chance to either look good for the Jaguars to bring you back, or for you to put the tape together for free agency and be like, I can go somewhere else and do something. The next game we have is a rematch of just a couple weeks ago, Seahawks and the Cardinals. The Cardinals lost to the Seahawks there, which gave the Seahawks the advantage in the NFC West, and then the Cardinals again had a 1-point loss to Minnesota last week, with Seattle's win for Seattle to be up a full game on the Cardinals now. And now the Cardinals win here, and we're back to both of them being tied in the NFC West. I'm not quite sure how the tiebreakers will break down afterwards, if they split, and then who, goes division, head-to-head, all the other shit. So I'm not sure how that breaks down. But again, if the Cardinals want to get back into the NFC West title race, they have to win this game. They are at home. Again, the Seahawks have played better, but again, they almost lost to the Jets. You can say, they came back against the Jets. Did you, or did the Jets fucking jet? Like, how a little column A, a little column B, maybe. And again, the Cardinals, I like them, even with Kyler in there. But I was talking with my father yesterday about him, and he's like, I like the Cardinals. Kyler. The problem with Kyler Murray is that as soon as he gets the ball, he starts running around. He's always trying to run around. I was like, he fucking has to. He can't see over the offensive line. He has to run around the offensive line to see anybody to fucking throw it to, because he's a fucking midge. So I thought you would have thought that was funny. I can't believe. Oh, you're not paying attention to me. That's the problem.
My wife is bothering me, even though I told her we're recording here.
Oh, don't. She's fine. She's not bothering. Is she bothering you? She could be bothering you with some. Never mind. I was going to say something inappropriate, and then I said, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to. For once, it's too early. I need to take the high road. I need to take the high road right now. We're not even at noon yet. Once we get to noon, I can start going downhill into the depths of hell. But for now, I'm going to try to stay on the high road. But yes, the Cardinals, I like them. I do like Kyler Murray. I do think he's playing better. Marvin Harrison Jr. has looked very good for them. I just like them, and I like them at home. I'm still not convinced on the Seahawks. Although, if the Seahawks win this game, we have to start thinking maybe they've come out of that lull they've had, that valley, and they're coming back out of it. But I see we both are kind of in agreement here that the Cardinals at home in Glendale should win this game.
Yeah, no, I mean pretty much the same thing. I like the Cardinals more. I don't trust I don't trust Seattle as much as enough to pick them to win.
ELS in the chat, he agrees. He thinks the Cardinals will win the division. If they win this game, it goes a long way towards that. Now, the next game also has some NFC West implications, as of course the Rams are tied with the Cardinals at 6-6 in the division. And this one is, I'm not gonna lie, Jimbo, you fucking surprised me on this one. This one's a surprise. I have the Bills against the Rams here in SoFi Stadium. It's going to be a huge Bills crowd because, again, any visiting team in LA is always going to have the bigger crowd there. But I have the Bills 10-2, beating the Rams. Again, the Bills, they clinched the AFC East. Not only are they going to the playoffs, which, by the way, the Lions clinched, by the way, so we now have 3 teams clinched for the playoffs so far. We have the Chiefs, we have the Bills, and now we have the Lions clinched for the playoffs. But I have the Bills beating the Rams, and I think beating them rather handily in LA. You, however, have a different opinion. Jimbo, please explain yourself.
It's gonna Well, it's gonna be a Jimbo reason. I don't like East Coast teams flying all the way out to West Coast and picking them to win. It seems like it never works out for the East Coast teams when they got to fly out to the West Coast. Also, I think the Rams aren't as bad as some people think. Now, I mean, they're not on the Bills level, but I just think this is one that they just everything goes right for them. The trip from East Coast to West Coast, balls bouncing the right way for them. It's just one, and I guess you could chalk up to it's one of those weird games that they win.
And that could be, this could be one of those anomaly games. See, I happen to think that West Coast teams coming east, I think, is usually worse. Because here's the thing. Usually what'll happen then is you'll have a West Coast team, they'll come east, and they'll play like a 1 o'clock game. But for them, that's fucking 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So it screws with you more. When you're an East Coast team going to the West Coast, you're playing at 1:15, 1:30. That's normal time. You can still have your regular game time routine. So I think it's actually easier for East Coast teams to go west than West Coast teams to go east. So that's, and again, I think the Bills right now are just firing on all cylinders. Josh Allen is playing at an MVP level. It's really, I think the race is between him and Saquon for the MVP.
Yeah.
He's laying pipe into Haley Steinfeld and now his fiance. Everything's coming up fucking Josh Allen right now. And the Bills look good. ELS even says Bills by a country mile will beat the Rams. So it's a 2-1 here right now with me and ELS against you, Jimbo. We both have the Bills. Jimbo going against the grain, and picking the Rams.
We're gonna take ELS's pick here. Being that the Packers did so well for us last night. Goddamn Packers!
Packers, woo! Super Bowl Packers. First of all, I like ELS because what he said there just gave me confirmation bias. So I like it. When ELS confirms what I think, he's a great guy. I like it. He knows what he's talking about. He's a smart individual. He knows exactly what he's talking about. When he goes against me, then it's like, I don't know what this guy's thinking. He's silly. I don't know what's going through his head. But when he agrees with me, that's a smart guy. The next game, we have the Bears versus the 49ers. Listen, the 49ers are just a walking train wreck at this point. They're just so many injuries. They cannot stop getting injured. And it's just, as somebody said, just top to bottom. Not only is it the injuries, like they said, I punched the fucking microphone again. Ricky Pearsall being shot before the season. The CMC and his German Achilles adventure, and now he's got a strained PCL, so he's out for the year. Their kicker, most of their defense, a lot of offensive weapons. Ayuk and his fucking drama, and then he goes and he rips his ACL like in the 5th week of the season, so he's gone. Like there's so much other stuff on and off the field. The unfortunate situation with Trent Williams and his family. All thoughts and everything to him and his wife at this time. But again, that's just another thing that just it seems like everything on field, off the field has just gone fucking sideways for the 49ers. Yeah. And like when you have that, when things just aren't going well, not just from a football sense, but from like a real life sense for all of these players, like it just seems like it's just one of those snake bitten years where it's just like the football god said, not this time, San Francisco. You don't get to you're it's just not this year for you. And it's unfortunate. And again, there's a lot of real world situations like we talked about with Trent Williams there and Ricky Pearsall and those unfortunate types of things. And you never want to make light of real life things by trying to compare it to a football game. I get that. Like, I'm not trying to say, I'm not trying to equate that to like, oh, well, that's going to be a problem on the football field. No, that's real life shit that fucks with people and fucks with them not just on the football field in whatever profession you're working at, but in life. That's a fucking draining, mentally taxing fucking situation for everybody there. It's just, again, it's hard for me to feel bad for the 49ers because I'm a Giants fan and I never looked, but boy, this season, maybe above any other, I feel absolutely heartbroken for the players and the organization that is the San Francisco 49ers of Santa Clara. I really do, because it's just been just week after week after week, just an other fucking gut punch, whether it's on the football field or in real life. They cannot seem to catch their breath, and it fucking sucks for them. And I do hate that. All that being said, coming back to the world of football, which is why we're here, the Bears got to stop a slide. I think, again, you have a coach post-firing bump here. And again, I went against that when the Saints did it, knowing about the post-coach firing bump. I said, but the Saints are just not that great. Proven wrong. They had 2 straight wins after that. So I'm not going to go against that again. I think the Bears win this game against just an absolutely decimated San Francisco team. So I got the Bears.
Yeah, I kind of agree about that. Caleb has played slightly better the past couple weeks. Going up against, like you said, a Niners team that is just walking around on crutches and all that. So, I mean, that's kind of why I picked the Bears to win. I am glad that I did see finally someone on my train of don't pay Brock Purdy. Chris Conte on ESPN said that he would not back up the Brinks truck to pay Purdy. Purdy.
The pay party was a pay party for Purdy.
but not like Mahomes money, not like he's not a top 5 quarterback.
He is, though. But the numbers say he is. The numbers say he is. So, and Chris Canty is also not the most reliable fucking person when it comes to an opinion. So I'll just say that too. Chris Canty is, I mean, he is who he is.
And not to get into the argument, because we always do this, but like if you're going to pay him Mahomes money, he should be able to still put up elite numbers on this team, no matter how injured, how.
Well, look at the elite numbers that Mahomes putting up this year. Just saying. I'm just saying.
And he's not earning his paycheck. Mahomes not earning his paycheck. He's barely getting this season, I should say.
ELS in the chat, by the way, says he has a reason, and my reason. No, ELS says that his reason that he thinks the Niners are going to win versus Chicago is that Chicago's been questionable all year, and he doesn't see that Chicago Bears team beating a very injured 49ers. My question would be like, how? Like, yeah. I'm sorry, the Niners are just that injured right now, and I'm not convinced that right now they could do anything. And again, just when you get Christian McCaffrey back, you're like, oh, maybe you get him back and he's going to be able to turn things around and other things will turn around. He gets injured and you get your ass blown out in Buffalo. Yeah. Granted, it was in the middle of a snowstorm, but you both had to play in it.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the Bills, for some reason, don't play well outdoors in Buffalo in the winter. So it's like, it's very counterintuitive, but they did last week against the Niners. And I don't see things getting better for them out there in Santa Clara. Sunday night, great matchup here. This is going to be a fun one to broadcast for you guys here on Sunday night. We have the Chargers and the Chiefs. Me and Jimbo, a little bit of concord here. I think this is a game that the Chargers can go in and beat the Chiefs. The way the Chiefs are playing, I'm not saying that the Chargers are necessarily a better team right now, but I think they are playing at a level in which they can go into that Chiefs building, into Arrowhead, with the Chiefs playing the way they are. Again, the Raiders, minus a bad snap mistake, probably beat the Chiefs on Black Friday. And I'll say this, I think the Chargers are a better team than the Raiders. I think we all can agree with that. So looking at that, and again, just taking into account of how the Chiefs have played this year. Again, the Chiefs are 11-1, but a lot like Minnesota, it seems like football destiny has kind of blessed them with winning these close games. Just, a toe out here, a pass interference there, a bad snap here, a lucky catch, or you would say a lucky catch or whatever, or just like a last minute desperation catch here. Like you look at their games and it's like, well, overtime, a coin toss here when it came to Tampa Bay and being able to win that game against them. It's like just these little things that just always seem to just break their way. I think when they meet a team like that, like Jim Harbaugh, I'm not going to say that Harbaugh is going to outcoach Andy Reid. I don't think too many coaches or anybody can outcoach Andy Reid. But I think that the Chargers are a tougher and grittier team than they have been in the past. I think they're going to be able to go nose to nose with the Chiefs, and I think they're good enough to go into Arrowhead and grab themselves a win here. So that's why I got the Chargers.
Yeah, like you said, the Chiefs are just barely winning games in the regular season, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of worried about them for the playoffs. I mean, once you get to the playoffs, you cannot win games like this.
You can't hide. You can't cover up things. You can't hide. You can't play bad teams and be like, oh, we got lucky. Yeah. When you're in the playoffs, you're playing who's there, who's the best teams. And even if the Chiefs do happen to end up getting a bye, then not only are you playing good teams, you're playing good teams who've already won a playoff game. So like you're gonna be in a spot. So I agree with that assessment.
Yeah, so I mean that's and the Chargers are just a gritty team. I think they're gonna be punching the Chiefs in the mouth there, and that's gonna start showing some stuff about the Chiefs.
You're gonna punch him right in the fucking mouth. You're gonna punch him. I'm sorry, I don't know why I got Hamsty. Hamster, a little late, but in the chat, how you doing? We already talked about your Falcons and how I picked the Vikings to go ahead and beat them. Jimbo picked your Falcons, Hamster. So I guess you're gonna have to be a Jimbo fan now for a while. But then again, you always kind of fucking poke at me too and try to push my button. So fuck you. I guess was he doing roar? Is he trying to push ELS's button with the roar and the lion on there? I wonder. He's trying to get.
He's going to have both ears.
He's
got your feminine, feminine.
My
roar.
wow, yeah,
Yeah.
roar.
Yes.
And also, I guess kind of a fuck you to you too, because you did pick the Packers to win with money, and you did lose money. So, finally, we have Monday Night Football, and boy, just who gives a shit? The Cincinnati Bengals, again, a team that Joe Burrow's putting up MVP numbers. At the end of the day, he's putting up MVP numbers. He's playing so well, and the Bengals can't win. That defense of theirs, I don't know what happened, but that defense is so fucking bad all of a sudden, and there's no excuse for it. There's no excuse for it. And you saw the press asked Jamar Chase, does it feel like you guys have to score in every series in order to win games? And Jamar Chase said it kind of feels like that, and hard to argue again with that. It seems like the Bengals put up 38 points and lose. Like, that's fucking insane when you think about it. The old adage is if you score 21 points, you should win a game.
Yeah.
And to see, like, it's so bad. The good thing for them is that they're playing Dallas in Dallas, and Dallas sucks in Dallas. Now, let's not take Thanksgiving into account because they played the fucking Giants. So, happy, there's a little early holiday gift for you, Dallas. You got a home win against a really terrible Giants team, but let's also face facts is that they only beat the Giants by 7 points. That's fucking embarrassing. And the Cowboys are an embarrassing team. Now, they do have Micah back, so the defense is a little bit better. They could probably get a little bit more pressure there on Joe Burrow. But the way Joe Burrow and that Bengals offense is playing, they're going to put up 28, 35 points probably easily on the Cowboys. Can the Cowboys put that much up against the Bengals defense? I think even as bad as the Bengals defense is, no, they can't. Cooper Rush isn't that guy. He's just not. And that offense is not playing well. And you can't take what they did against the Giants to heart, because as much as we're talking about how the Bengals are bad or how bad the defense is, the Giants is fucking 20 times worse. And again, the Cowboys only won by 7. So taking all that into account, I think this one is Bengals, and I don't think this game is particularly close.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the biggest issue with Dallas's offense right now, Cooper Rush just can't throw downfield. It seems like they don't trust him to throw downfield. Like, they'll do 1, maybe 2 a game. And when I say throw downfield, like something longer than 15, 20 yards. He's just a check down quarterback, and a shittiest defense minus the Giants can stop that. And I think that's what's going to happen. So I agree with you. I think the Bengals win big here.
ELS in chat. Get a little. I think ELS has been hanging around us too long, or well, me specifically, because he's starting to get a little salty, like the language. He says that he has the Bengals winning by 7 miles over this piece of fucking trash team, aka the Cowboys. That sounds like something I would say.
I mean, maybe he's still hurt from last night.
Well, that too. I mean, he's a Packers fan, so Packers hate the. Well, to be fair, everybody hates the fucking Cowboys. Yeah. But yeah, well, so I mean, ELS a little forceful on that one, a little shell shock. But he agrees with us as well. Bengals going to go ahead and beat the Cowboys, and there it is. That is your week 14. 14. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? After this week, 4 regular season games remain. That's it. 1 month. We have 1 month remaining of NFL football.
Yeah.
It goes by too fast. It goes by too fast, Jimbo. Again, we have tonight. There is college football conference championship games. We have Mountain West and the American Conference. They're going to have their games. That's going to be Boise State versus UNLV. A lot of people I've seen on UNLV. People thinking UNLV is going to pull the upset. So if UNLV pulls the upset, and I think if UNLV pulls the upset and it's close, and Army blows out Tulane, I think you start having, maybe there's an argument of whether you can put Army ahead of UNLV and Army gets into the playoff instead of UNLV. Maybe. I still think it's a very long road. I think it's a very, 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 very slim possibility. Like, I think it's like 0.00001% chance that happens. But it's there, and if it can happen, I will definitely pull for that because I pull for Army. I really would love to see one of the service academies get into the first playoff. That would be cool. Yeah. And then, so we do have that, and we might find that out, again, by the end of the night, as we have both the Mountain West and the American. That's it. Boise State versus UNLV up at the Smurf Turf, and we have Tulane versus Army up at Mikey Stadium at West Point in New York. And then Saturday's the big one, where we have all the rest of them. We have the SEC, we have the Big Ten, we have the Big 12, and of course, ending the night, they're going to have the ACC championship game, which has probably the most chance for the chaos. If Clemson wins, then is SMU in or out? Is Alabama in or out, depending if SMU is in or out? Who goes where? Again, we still don't know who the seeding is. If Penn State wins, I think that knocks Notre Dame down. But even if Penn State doesn't win, if they lose, do they not move Penn State down past Notre Dame, or do they knock Notre Dame down a spot to put Penn State there? Like, it becomes a whole thing about seeding, who goes where, all of that kind of stuff. Interested to see where that all happens, where that all goes, and it's a lot of fun. And then of course we have Sunday, and I guarantee during the live stream at 1:00, which we'll be covering the Cleveland Browns and Pittsburgh Steelers, as voted on by you guys, we'll probably talk about like all of that, see what happens, and maybe we'll try to hit a little early, because I don't know when the selection show is. It's usually like noon. I don't know. I'll have to look. Hold on, let me check real quick. I'll do it, of course. Well, I mean, what else are we fucking doing? It's early in the morning, whatever. Let me see. College football playoff selection show air time. It is noon. Okay, so the college football playoff field will be announced during an ESPN selection show on Sunday, December 8th. Show begins at noon. Maybe we'll do a live. We'll do a live watch along. We'll do a live watch along with that as well before the games even start, and see where everybody ends up, and have a little discussion about that then before the games come on. So it'll be a little 1-2 action there.
Like extra bonus.
A little extra bonus coverage here on Stay Tuned Sports about what's going on. ELS says in the chat, by the way, fuck Colorado. ELS language. Where would you learn such horrible, horrible language from? My goodness. I would never. I learned it from watching you, okay? I learned it from watching you. Do you remember that old PSA, man, from back in the day? God, that's a classic. That's a classic. Love that one. So maybe we'll do that. We'll have a little bit of an early college football playoff selection show thing, and then we'll also have we'll jump right over there. Should we do 2 separate lives for that, or should we just do one and run into the other?
Let run into the game.
You think? Because I want it. Because then how do on the live? How do you mark it down? How do you change the title and do stuff like that? So
maybe and then whoever's still watching us at the end of the rankings reveal would just say, hey.
Yeah, we're just saying, hey, we're jumping right back on here. If you want to go over and check it out, we're going live immediately. And if people who want to stick around, they'll stick around. If not, that's fine. But yeah, so I'll start actually getting some of the graphics ready for that. So we can go ahead and watch along and see what the reveal will be, and then we'll have a little discussion about that, and then we'll go right into Browns and Steelers. So until then, on Sunday. By the way, if you're watching us here, you can help us out real quickly. Hit that like button. Helps us out with the algorithm. Appeases the YouTube Lovecraftian gods up there, the old ones. Keeps them at peace. Make sure they don't eat us all in the upcoming apocalypse. Which apparently, did you see that there's a guy out there who's very astute at predicting earthquakes and other natural disasters, and he's kind of hit on a whole bunch of them lately. And he's saying that there's going to be an absolutely devastating earthquake either at the end of this month or early next month that's going to cause global chaos and disruption.
Wow. No, I didn't see that.
Start buying the canned foods now, Jimbo. Start buying the shit now. We got to get ready. It's all coming down. We're all going to die. Between that and the aliens and fucking cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. That's all going down. But yes, please hit that like button. Helps us out tremendously. If you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Helps us out. If you want to leave a comment down in the comments after we're done here, please do so. Let us know what you think of our Week 14 forecast picks and predictions here. And again, we appreciate you guys so very much. If you want to help donate to the show and support the channel, we have a link for our donation station in the description below this video, as well as our merch store. If you want to pick up anything there, please keep on checking back there as we're adding stuff all the time. If you have any ideas, you go ahead and, again, leave that in the comment. Let us know, and we'll see what we can do for you as far as that goes. So until Sunday at noon, for the college football playoff prediction show, my name is King. That guy right up there, that's Jimbo. As I'm still in the vertical. I didn't switch back yet. I don't know why. But either way, too late now because we're out of here. Bye, everybody.